Hello, fabulous Sagittarius. Welcome to your horoscope for the month of May 2014, General Focus. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. Last month, I told you that the end of the month would bring a very important eclipse that would mark workplace changes for you. And that's actually the energy that you are carrying into this month. And so in the early part of the month, I still see you sort of looking at the day-to-day, really grounding yourself in where you are, workplace changes taking place that maybe on the surface don't seem so great at first glance, but very quickly work out to your advantage. In some cases, your great advantage may bring with it a sense of heightened responsibility, and also may bring with it a sense of greater prosperity as well. So that's the energy that you have with you in the early part of the month. But towards the middle of the month, this is what I find really interesting. Right in the middle of the month, we have a full moon taking place, and it is in the sign just before yours. And this particular full moon is happening right next to Saturn in the sky, which is a planet that is associated with the part of the sky that has to do with finances and financial progress. But what we also have happening is that this particular full moon and Saturn will be speaking in harmony with your ruling planet, Jupiter. Now, wherever your ruling planet goes, whatever's happening with your ruling planet, because your ruling planet is your representative in the sky, astrologers are particularly interested in looking at what's happening as a way of getting some insights into what is likely to be transpiring for you, what lessons are likely coming up for you. And I look at this, and there are a couple of different ways that this is likely to play itself out. And so one way that I see this likely playing itself out actually is because Jupiter is in a part of the sky that has to do with healing any issues around money and around prosperity, but also it has to do with financial settlements. It has to do with the type of money that has to do with grants, loans, bursaries, insurance payouts, tax payments, that type of thing. And this is part of a larger lesson, as I spoke about in last year's Jupiter special. This is part of a larger trend that is now reaching a few moments of sort of final culmination, final reward. And it does look like, because of the groundedness that Saturn is bringing to this dynamic, it does look like, based on efforts that you have already made in the past, so it's not necessarily anything new I'm seeing you do, but this is very much based on what you've already done in the past, or based on the efforts of other people where you might not even be aware that they are working on your behalf. It looks like the likelihood of you being able to reach some sort of financial settlement, you to feel a sense of ease where it comes to finances, or you to even be the recipient of some money is possible now. What I find really interesting about this is if there has been any sort of question up in the air, any sort of fear in particular around a situation that involves finances, it does look like that gets a big burst of healing, and it does look like that is very likely to find a resolution that works very well for you. What I also find with this dynamic particularly interesting is the element here of healing your relationship with money, because ultimately, however it is that we feel about money speaks volumes about so many different things. And money is a very emotional issue for a lot of people. And the interesting thing about money is ultimately, at least from a spiritual perspective, one way that money is understood is as energy, as a reflection of the value that you give to the energy that you are putting into the world, and that is reflected in what is being returned to you. So what you give is what you get in every area of life. If you believe that you're giving something of great value, then great value is returned to you, however you understand that. But one way that we, as a culture, as a universal culture, have come to understand value is in financial terms. And so your feelings around money speak volumes about so many different issues, and it does look like you are getting some powerful insights into that as well. If there have been any sort of issues that need to healing, right now you really want to be paying attention to your dreams around all this to help you to resolve any residual energy that might get in the way of your greater prosperity. Also, I would say this as well. What I do think with this dynamic is this whole element of closures is very strong in this time as well, in the middle of the month. And so if there have been sort of any lingering feelings of hurt in particular, or any sort of matter that you feel has been sort of hanging in the air, but now you want to choose to bring it to a healthy close, it does look like, at least on the dream space, it does look like energetically you are really allowing some release and transformations to take place. Now, whenever there is a full moon in the sign just before yours, it does denote that coming up very shortly, you are going to experience a full moon in your own sign 28 and a half days later. That's usually how it works. And so keep that in mind as this month culminates, because you are preparing for a bigger fruition. You are preparing for a bigger closure, much closer to the heart. And your dreams and what's happening on an energetic level with you, particularly in the dream space, is going to be your psyche's way of telling you what it is that you are now preparing to let go of, what it is now that you are preparing to allow to come to fruition, to reach its natural conclusion, to complete its cycle. And where it is actually that you are itching to transform, where you are itching to understand yourself in a different way and to allow an element really of your identity. When an occurrence takes place in your sign, it hits you on the level of identity. And when an occurrence takes place in the sign just before yours, it is the preparation for that new launch, that new realization. And that is the space that you are in as we get you in the middle of the month. So use this time well. You use this time well by looking at what you value. You use this time well by considering where it is that you can actually trust that the universe is resolving things that maybe have not felt like the resolution was coming very easily. And you can use this month well by documenting your dreams, because they really are going to point the way towards your bigger changes coming up a little bit further down the road. Thank you for watching. It'll be a great month. Be fabulous and enjoy.